Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, I recently told my wife that she should embrace her mistakes. She gave me a hug. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 games with 3 or more expansions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my top 10 games with 3 or more expansions. Okay, let me be very clear about what I'm doing here. I'm not rating the expansions. I'm not even necessarily considering all of the expansions. I don't know that I played all the expansions. But what I am looking at is the games themselves and if they have 3 or more expansions. I'm looking at those, just really the core games. I played expansions for all of them. I don't know that I played 3 expansions for all of them, but I'm looking at the kind of the core games and just the ideas of these game systems that have many, many expansions and where I would rank them. So I'm just going to jump right into it here. I'm going to start with number 10. This is a game I have played. No, I played 3 of the expansions. I think I played the first 3 expansions for. There's more than that. I want to say there's 5 or 6 expansions, but I've just played the first 3. This is from Renegade Game Studios, G.I. Joe Mission Critical. G.I. Joe Mission Critical is a great game. It's kind of like Pandemic. You're trying to prevent Cobra from taking over the locations and doing things, but you got to fight them. You're doing dice combat, but you have card abilities, and the way you kind of play through your cards, they're also kind of your health. It's a very fun game. Now, I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. When I was G.I. Joe was like the first IP I remember getting really excited about. I went to California when I was 5 years old. It was right around my birthday. My older brother bought me the Vamp, the vehicle, and I think I'd gotten the flat cannon for Christmas before. But those are the very first G.I. Joe units I got. Over the next few years, I was spoiled rotten. I got a ton of G.I. Joe. So I always loved G.I. Joe as an IP, even though you go back and you watch the commercial, the cartoons now, you want to cringe. But I always love that. And Mission Critical is a great cooperative game fighting Cobra. And I would like to play some of those other expansions as well. So that is number 10, G.I. Joe Mission Critical, and that is from Renegade Game Studios. My number 9 is another IP. This one is a really, it feels like a card game, but it's got miniatures that you also use too. This is from Gale Force 9. This is Star Trek. This is Star Trek Away Missions. Star Trek Away Missions is a great game. Like I say, it's a miniatures game, but it really feels like a card game. And the core set comes with kind of a Federation faction of Riker and some of the other next gen characters, and the Borg that you're fighting. I think Locutus is among them. And then they've come out with other packs that bring in other crew members, expansion packs. You've got one with Picard and other next gen crew members. You've got a Kirk one with some of the original series. You got a Scotty one with some of the other original series. Then you've got, I think, 2 Klingon expansions. You've got a Romulan expansion. And I played all of those. There's also kind of a Q tournament expansion. I've never played that, but there's a lot of ways you can mix and match the factions that are fighting here, and it's a lot of fun. Like I say, it feels more like you're doing a card game where you're just kind of tracking where certain things are with the miniatures, but it's fun. It's really engaging, and it's a great game too because it's not too long. Each game isn't too long. You've only got, I think, 3 rounds to get things done, which can be kind of limiting at times, but it's still a lot of fun. But that is Star Trek Away Missions. That is my number 9. That's from Gale Force 9. Number 8 is Star Trek Ascendancy. Now, of course, the GameFound, they just did a GameFound campaign that I went in and I got everything for the campaign that I didn't already have. But Star Trek Ascendancy is a fantastic Star Trek civilization building game. And you create kind of the space lanes and the planets, and it's a fun game to watch kind of the board as it evolves over the course of the game. One of the things I really, really enjoy about this, though, is the variety of factions. Now, the original game, you have the Federation, you have the Klingons, and you have the Romulans. Great factions. But they've released, oh god, I can't remember, like 5 or 6 more. You've got the Vulcans, you've got the Ferengi, you've got the Cardassians, you've got the Andorians, you've got the Breen. They did a Borg expansion. They did a Dominion War expansion. And the Dominion War is great because that makes it a team game, and there's great stuff there. I really, really, really enjoy Star Trek Ascendancy. It's just, it's one of those games that it's more manageable. It reminds me of something like TI4, which is one of my favorite games of all time, but it plays in a little more manageable time frame. You can play Star Trek Ascendancy in maybe 3 hours or so, whereas TI4 is 8. So I really like that. But again, I like what all the expansions bring to the game too, and again how you can mix and match and have different experiences every time. And I think I played with all the expansions. I think I played with this game. Yeah, I have them all, so I think I played with them all they've released so far anyway. So anyway, that is really good. That is my number 8, Star Trek Ascendancy, also from Gale Force 9. Now my number 7 is kind of an odd duck because there's kind of two versions of the game, and between them they have 3 expansions. But this is Dune Imperium slash Dune Imperium Uprising. You've got great. They're the 3 expansions. You had the first 2 that kind of went with Dune Imperium, and the third one that goes with Uprising. But again, you can mix and match and do them all together, and they all bring good and interesting stuff. Now, each game on its own is fantastic without an expansion. Uprising I like better. I think there's a little more meat there, a little more flavor. The game feels a little more refined in Uprising. But each of the expansions bring some really fun new concepts. You got Immortality, which has got the Bene Talax and the technology they're researching. And then you've got the Rise of Ix, which brought in technology to the game. And then, of course, you have Bloodlines that came out recently that kind of also brings in technology. But then you have a lot of other cool bells and whistles in combat, especially with that game. So there's just a lot of meat and potatoes that these expansions bring in that are really fun. I would not want to play a game where I integrated all the expansions at the same time. Sometimes some games you can do that. This is not one. This is one where you got to pick and choose which expansions you want to use here and there. But I really, really enjoy Dune Uprising, and I really like its expansions. Fantastic game, fantastic expansions. So that is Dune Uprising, my number 7 from Direwolf. My number 6 is a game that I'd heard a lot of people go on and on about how great it was, and I had never played it, but I finally, a year or two ago, was able to get a copy from the company. Absolutely loved it, and then subsequently I played the 3 expansions, and for the most part, I had good experiences. But this is Moonrakers from Force Studio. Moonrakers is a great deck building game that brings in negotiation because you've got on your turn you've got to fulfill these contracts, and very very rarely can you fulfill the contracts on your own. You usually have to get someone else to help you, but if they help you, you have to share the rewards. There's different kinds of rewards, but you also have to split the risk because you can bad things can happen. You can lose points essentially when you do that. So that's really fun just on its own. But the expansions, there were 3 expansions, and the one expansion, Binding Ties, I thought was just okay. It didn't really thrill me. It had some interesting ideas, but playing it was just kind of, I'd rather play it without it. I still have it, and I still may give it another shot at some point, but I wasn't wild about it. But the other 2 were very cool. They brought in things like event cards, and there's one where you have a different sector map, and you can only help people in the same sector or an adjacent sector as you. And so they brought in some really really cool and interesting ideas and concepts and scenarios that bolstered, that enhanced the game, and that's what any expansion should do, is bring in new fun stuff and enhance the game experience, and these expansions did. So Moonrakers is just an outstanding deck building game with negotiation, and I love negotiation in games. It does it very well, and it's got some, at least 2 great expansions, but the third one, take it or leave it. That is Moonrakers. That is my number 6. That's from 4 Studio. My number 5 is a game that I bought at what was it? It was at the time it was Salt Lake Comic Con. Now it's called FanX. I bought it there, paid way too much for it, but I was enthused and wanted to take home something. And this became one of my standard games, one of my favorite games of all time, Marvel Legendary. Marvel Legendary is a great deck building game, cooperative deck building game, where you and your friends take on the roles of the various well, you don't actually take on the roles of the Marvel heroes. You recruit the Marvel heroes to create a team that does the fighting, and it's a lot of fun. 30 some odd expansions, I think, at this point, or around 30 anyway. I mean, and I played them all. I believe I played every single Marvel Legendary expansion. Some are better than others, some are kind of ho-hum, and some are freaking amazing. I actually think they're going to reboot Marvel Legendary here, if I'm not mistaken. I got to find some storage solution because I've run out of space in my boxes. but it is such a good game. I really love Marvel Legendary. It's just fantastic. And it's one of those games that every time a new expansion comes out or something comes out, I'm so excited because I have an excuse to play this game again, and I always have fun with it. Now, I should point out too, while I'm on the subject of superhero deck building games, I considered putting the DC Comics deck building game in here. It does have a lot of expansions, um, but mostly they put out standalone games. They do have some expansion packs as well. Um, I don't play a lot of the expansion packs when I play DC Comics. Sometimes I do, but that's why it's not on the list. It could be on here, but it's not. But I love the game. I absolutely love the game. In fact, I used to like Marvel Legendary better. I think I've come around. I do like the DC Comics deck building game better, even though it's a simpler game. But as far as this idea of multiple expansions, I felt like Marvel Legendary was better represented on this list. So that is my number 5, Marvel Legendary from Upper Deck. My number 4 is a game that came out years ago originally, and I missed the boat. I heard good things about it, but I just never got around to playing it. And then I kind of decided, what the hey? I bought a copy of it about a year or two ago. I think I was here in Idaho when I bought it, so it couldn't have been too long ago. Absolutely fell in love with it, and I've got a ton. Pretty much, I think I've got everything you can get minus the Kickstarter extras. Everything that was available in retail, I now think I have. And this is Cthulhu Death May Die. Cthulhu Death May Die. There are 4 season boxes, plus you have expansion monsters. This is, again, excluding the Kickstarter stuff. So there's a ton of content here you could buy for it. And again, it's amazing. It's so much fun. I think I played, I don't think I played a mission from the season 2 stuff, but I think I played missions from all the other core boxes. And then I plugged in a lot of the monsters and stuff that you could buy separately. And it's so much fun. I love Cthulhu horror games. I love horror games general, and I love the Cthulhu theme. And this game does it so well. It's got great minis. It's got great stories. I love the stories this game tells. And overall, they're just beautiful, beautiful productions, and I really, really enjoy it. So that is number 4, Cthulhu Death May Die. That is from, come on. My number 3 is a game that is also from Come On, even though the larger game series is transferring to Asmodee. I just read that today when I'm recording this. But this is Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies, and I could have put any of the zombie side games on here, I think. So far, Marvel Zombies is my favorite. We'll wait and see if DC Deceased ends up being more fun. But right now, I do love the Marvel Zombies game. I love playing in both modes because in the base game, you're superhero zombies and you're attacking, you're eating the shield troops coming for you. And then there's also the other core box, which is the X-Men, which allows you to play as the superheroes fighting the zombies that are coming after you. And so that's a lot of fun too. But there are a lot of great expansions they made. They made a Guardians of the Galaxy expansion that brings Thanos in there, and he's trying to get his ring, for his glove, the gems for his glove, not the ring. And then you've got the Fantastic Four, and they've got kind of these elevator things. You go up and down in a building, which is really a lot of fun. You had where you're fighting against Red Skull, one expansion where you're fighting against Red Skull, and he's got zombies that have got guns that know how to use them, that can come after you. You've also got the Sinister Six, which is another expansion with you get the various characters from the Sinister Six. That one's a lot of fun. Every expansion is awesome and brings something new and exciting to it. And it's one of those games I'm talking about it. I want to play it again. I love Marvel Zombies so much. Probably right at this point, my favorite way to play zombie side. But that is number 3. That is Marvel Zombies from Come On. My number 2. This is a game that the core game came out about 3 years ago, I think. And again, I was super excited because, as I said earlier, I love the IP. This is from Renegade Game Studios, the G.I. Joe deck building game. The G.I. Joe deck building game is phenomenal. It's probably now my favorite deck building game of all time. I love it because it's you go on missions, and they got great stories. And you go on these missions, you take your Joes on missions, and they have skills, and you're trying to match the skills to the mission requirements. And depending on if you can do that, you get dice. And so you're rolling dice. I love it. It's a deck building game, but it's still a dice chucker. And you're trying to, each turn, maximize the number of dice you can bring to the table. And it's fantastic. I love, love, love the G.I. Joe deck building game because, again, I love the theme, I love the stories, I love the dice, I love the artwork. Everything about this just is something I love. And then they've released now, I think they've got about five expansions, 5 or 6 expansions. They had the one that takes place in the snow, where you got snow troopers and they have to fight these battles in the Arctic. But then you also have the Serpentor one, where he's bringing the alternate Cobra leader. I won't get into the lore, but you're taking on him and his henchmen. They did a crossover with Transformers, which was okay. It wasn't my favorite, probably my least favorite, but it was still fun. And then they did the Silent Castle. I can't remember the title of it, where you can just play as kind of a solo adventure. And I play a lot of the games solo anyway, but there's specific rules for that one. But then there's also the Hidden Traitor rules there. My favorite expansion, though, so far, hands down, is the Flag campaign expansion. Now, as you know, I'm not huge on campaign games. If you watch the channel, I talk about this a lot. But this was one of the most fun campaign experiences I've had because it's a brief campaign. It's only like 5 missions, but it is so good. And you actually have the little, with the accessory pack, you build the little cardboard flag, the aircraft carrier, and you can use the various vehicles on it in order to accomplish your goals. So much fun. I freaking love G.I. Joe. I love this game, and I love that expansion. And all the expansions are good. That's the best one. But that is my number 2, the G.I. Joe deck building game from Renegade Game Studios. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my number 1 game with 3 or more expansions. Now, I'll tell you right now, many of you probably know what this is. If you know the channel, you probably know where I'm going. I've talked a lot about this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's probably my 3rd favorite game of all time. And it's got 3 expansions. The game's no longer in print, but it made 3 expansions. And usually when I play with it, I just play with the 1 expansion, although I do use components and stuff from others. And I keep thinking at some point I really need to go back and give these other expansions a fair shot. Because I played with them before and I was like, but I think maybe as I've matured as a gamer, I might find more worth in some of these other expansions. I am, of course, talking about Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Battlestar Galactica, the board game, is amazing. It's out of print, unfortunately, but they came out with, as I say, the 4 expansions. And the expansion that I play with is Pegasus. And Pegasus it's got multiple facets. It's got the new Caprica stuff, and I don't play with the new Caprica stuff. Again, I think I tried it once a long time ago. I was like, okay. But I do play with the Pegasus board and some of the new characters. I like having that. I like having that other board there because you have more weapons to shoot. You have more options to do in the game. You got the airlock, I believe, where you can kill people. It's just a fun expansion. And I was recently on a podcast where I was talking about my love for this game and my love for this expansion specifically. So if you're a fan of the TV show, you'll like the game. And the different expansions kind of get deeper into the lore of the TV show. And one of the issues, too, I think I have is I was recently not too recently, a while back, I started watching Battlestar Galactica again with my wife. And we're just to the point where we started the 4th season, and we actually haven't watched it for a while. And that's because I think she kind of lost interest because it's not as good in those last 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons were excellent. The last 2 seasons are okay. They had their moments, but a lot of the magic was gone. And I think some of these later expansions really kind of play on some of these later episodes, which, again, are not as good. That's my theory. I don't know. We'll see. Like I say, I got to go back and play some of these again. But at any rate, I really, really love Battlestar Galactica, the board game. It's an absolutely fantastic game. I hope you get a chance to play it if you hadn't. I hope you get a chance to own it if you want it. So good. My number 1 game, that is Battlestar Galactica, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is my top 10 games with 3 or more expansions. What do you think? What are your favorite games that have 3 or more expansions. Have you played all the expansions? Did you like all the expansions? I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about that. And I'm excited to know what you think about my list. What do you think about the games I put on this list as well? Please, please, please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Subscribe to all that good stuff. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. That means a lot if we get those subscriptions. And ring the bell, give us a thumb. We really, really appreciate that. Also, too, if you like what we do here, please check out my other channel, Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to that as well. It would mean the world to me. And also, too, if you do like what we do here, you like the content we provide on this channel, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, I used to have a job at a calendar factory. I got fired because I took a couple of days off.
Somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
My mistake, kid. It's the getting kicked in the nods industry that went belly up. Board games are doing great. Keep buying.